All right, let me know when we're good.
Even though we're going to be live and we could just spoil this right now because we're probably live and it says we're live. But another Meatball of the Week. Did you see the picture of Paul George circulating online? That's another Meatball of the Week candidate.
No. I guess we'll bring that up at the very end. That'll be our final topic. All right. Well, I guess we're good, right?
Yeah, it says we're live on here. You know,
All
no one
right.
puts no
And
confusing
welcome back
nowadays.
to the Paisan Sports podcast presented by Elevation 5280 Sports. I have a brand new Eagle shirt on today. I can't really fully turn around to show it, but it's smoking on that Chiefs pack. Anyway, Dante
What that
DePlatte.
just made me think of?
What?
Jackson Dart can make a living off of like a cigarette celebration.
Oh, I didn't think of that. Yeah, for the people that refer to them as darts.
I feel like that's a
Um,
popular Delco slogan.
yeah, you
I don't
smoke a
personally
freaking
smoke
darty.
cigarettes or never have. So,
Or they say bogeys, though, I think. And either way, Dante LaPlacido joined as always by Zach Deal of What's the Deal Sports. So I've got to ask, what's the deal with the Mets? They have now lost 11 out of their last 12 games. And thanks to that, the Phillies are firmly in control of the division. I would say 5.5 games up. What's going on with them?
you also told me that this was going to be the what's the deal segment before what happened today and what transpired today.
Yeah.
So they got beat on a
For
walk
further
off home run,
emphasis on that,
and then
the
the
Mets
other
got
day,
walked
I
off.
think yesterday, they just got swept, right? Because
Yeah, they got swept. Yeah.
yesterday they allowed what 4 runs in the seventh or eighth inning, and they had just
Somewhat.
took the lead. It was 2-2 because I bet on them. They just took the lead 3-2. I think the Brewers hit a home run or something. It was 3-3. They took the lead 4-3, and then they gave up like 4 runs or something. So, yeah, they're miserable right now, and they made a bunch of improvements at the trade deadline. Honestly, when you look at the Mets lineup, and I don't want this to come back and haunt me because if they come back and beat the Phillies in the playoffs again with the additional Juan Soto, this will sound like a really stupid statement, hindsight wise. But I feel like their lineup really isn't that impressive outside of like the top 3 or 4. And Francisco Lindor is batting like 245 right now.
Yeah,
Mookie Betts and Francisco Lindor, like two of the best shortstops, like for all the grief that Trey Turner gets, like two of the best shortstops in baseball, especially in the National League, are underperforming this year. Even though
well,
Francisco
I
still
would
has
say,
like
I mean,
20 home runs, but
up until lately, I wouldn't say Trey Turner was underperforming. He's been playing great defense all
no, I'm
year.
saying in comparison for all the grief that he gets, but these two guys are
Oh,
like the same tier and same level and have been
yeah.
for a while, and like they're like having really
Yeah,
bad.
Mets fans would have you think that Francisco Lindor is light years ahead of Trey Turner, and it's simply not true at all.
He has
You
more
know,
consistent power, but he's
they'll
literally
refer to his defense, which he does play elite defense, but Trey Turner is also an excellent defender himself. He's been swinging a better bat this year. The only downside with Trey Turner is he's yet to hit a home run in Citizens Bank Park this season,
he just
which
his
is
first home run since what, like June 27th or something like that, or May
yeah.
27th or something.
But
Jack,
he's been doing a great job at hitting for average. He was slumping for a little while. He's been hitting. He started hitting better this
what
series.
he came up. He had the home run the other day, but it was I think the game before he came up a home run shy of the cycle. The game that he had the triple in.
Yeah,
So yeah, he's been turning it on. But you talked about good defense. I know we didn't like extensively talk about the what's the deal segment about the Mets, but just an overview. They're playing like trash right now. But you mentioned something about defense. Someone that's playing stellar defense. I just realized when I was thinking about topics for the podcast, we haven't really highlighted too much about Alec Boehm not being in the lineup. We haven't brought that up too much. So Alec Boehm has missed time
sure.
with the broken rib. So I think today he started to come back to AAA. He has like a rehab.
He got the start in
But
AAA.
in the time that he's missed, and Mundo Sosa and Otto Kemp have been getting time over at third base. And talk about spectacular defense. I mean, Mundo Sosa's defense has been ridiculous as of late.
Yeah, and Turner and Stott have also been playing incredible defense, and Stott has also been batting well the past 10 games or so, which is interesting. But speaking of AAA, I don't know if you saw their lineup for today, but I'm just going to read you not the entire lineup, but some of the names in this lineup: Justin Crawford, Johan Rojas, Alec Boehm, Cal Stevenson, and Rodolfo Castro. With Painter on the mound, who ended up having a horrible outing, giving up 7 runs. But that's it for AAA. That's a loaded lineup. They ended up putting up quite a bit of runs themselves, but couldn't overcome the bad pitching.
You want to talk about a guy performing really well as of late, a guy that like feels like maybe he's on the hot seat and could be out of here, even though I feel like just as like what he's been brought in to do and his role has been so far, he's met the billing, but he just hasn't exceeded into that next level and just like grown into the player they thought they were trading for a couple years ago. But Brandon Marsh has been arguably the best player on the team in the past.
Oh, absolutely. He's been hitting really, really well ever since I think dating back to
He
late
still
May.
plays good defense too. I think he's a better left fielder
Oh
than
yeah,
he
he
is
made
right
a
fielder. But
great catch in the outfield. What did he take away a
what
home
was the
run?
better catch? While you're talking about that now, what was the better catch this year? The Harrison Bader catch today, or the Edmundo Sosa
Oh,
robbery
that's right. It
of the
was
home run?
Bader who made that catch. Oh no, the Sosa catch was better, but I'll tell you what catch was even better than both of those two. The other catch from today, the most ridiculous catch I've ever seen. Who was it? Adolis Garcia, who dropped the ball and then spun around and caught it with his bare hand. Did you see that?
Oh yeah, I saw that. I
Dude,
didn't know.
that was
I mean, I thought we were
ridiculous.
just ranking. I thought we were just ranking Phillies players here,
Well,
but
yeah, no, yeah, but I feel like that catch needs to be talked
yeah,
about.
it was a
And
crazy
I
catch.
was I was almost shocked that that would take place and it wouldn't um happen to Max Kepler because
Well,
I
he's
mean,
another guy that's been he's everybody's been playing well. It seems like they got a shot in the arm since the Johan Duran trade, and Harrison Bader's been better than the. Everybody was expecting like a bat, like not this player, but like a bat, like a Marcell Ozuna type player that could just come in and give you a bunch of home runs, like Eugenio Suarez or a guy like that. But the Phillies weren't getting that type of player, and they got Harrison Bader, who's been pretty good for them so far. But I
yeah,
feel like
he even hit that home run
yeah, he
with
got
the
robbed. He got
previous.
robbed of a home run the other day too on a
Oh
crazy.
yeah, that's right. I forgot
But
about that.
but I feel like everybody has gotten a shot in the arm, and Max Kepler is one of the guys that has been playing better since then. And I don't know if it's the platoon actually working out. We talked about that. We mentioned that 6-game plan they're on with the 3 lefties and 3 righties they were projected to face, and they've stuck true to that plan. I mean, personally, I know you hate it too when you see them roll out the lineup card and you see Weston Wilson even in the lineup. I don't know why they still even do that.
There's no point with all the outfielders they have now. There's no reason, especially with Kemp, how he can play the outfield. You know, when you have just to go down the list, and I'll
And I
include
don't know the numbers
Schwarber.
of Kemp off the top of my head, but it doesn't seem like he's like favorable about like either side. Like he struggles with a lefty or a righty. It just seems like he just gets timely hits when he gets hit. So it doesn't seem
Yeah,
like
so
you need to like.
just to look at who they have in the outfield, and I'm gonna include Schwarber because you can put him in the outfield. So you have Nick Castellanos, Kyle Schwarber, Brandon Marsh, Harrison Bader, Max Kepler, Otto Kemp. And you can even, if you want to, you could even put Edmundo Sosa in the outfield. And yet, for some reason, they give Weston Wilson starts out there. I just don't understand it.
I think
But
they're just trying to buy time, but also it's interesting that you mentioned Nick Castellanos. He played what 162 games last year, and he got sat for rest because of how well the other outfielders were playing.
yeah, but Weston Wilson played in that game, didn't he?
No, I think it was Kepler, Marsh, and Bader played last night.
Oh, yeah, I think you're right. I think
Kepler
you're right.
took over. Kepler was the one that took over for right field. And Kepler's not the most athletic dude, but he has a strong arm in the outfield, and he's actually a decent outfielder. But yeah, I actually heard because I listened to a Phillies podcast. by NBC Sports with like Ruben Amaro Jr. on there. And they were like, people were like mentioning like sitting Castellanos down because he's actually been struggling a little bit. So they actually did do that. And maybe like, it's a little bit of wear and tear for this guy to just play every single game. There's not really any player other in the league that's like on, like, not saying Castellanos is the best player in the world, but for a player of his caliber, there's not too many guys that are playing 162 games, especially in the outfield, running balls down all the time. You know what I mean? As an older player, like that's, that takes a wear and tear on you a little bit. So maybe it's good for them to sit down, but for them to have the confidence to sit them down and for it to work out versus a Texas Rangers team that just has underperformed the past couple of years because of injuries, but they're still a talented team. I mean, you saw we almost got wrecked by a Corey Seager home run last night because Corey Seager's that level and that good of a player. And this is a lineup that a couple years ago, they had 5 guys make the All-Star team. So
and not only that,
they also have struggled there recently. They lost 10 straight games in Texas, like leading up into the series that they just swept. So
I don't know, but the one big highlight from this series to me is going into last night's game. You had Jacob deGrom versus Jesus Luzardo, who Luzardo has been extremely shaky. DeGrom's been having a resurgence on the mound this season, and we just went in there and beat him. Luzardo had a very rough first inning, settled down after that, and then outside of Matt Strahm giving up a run, the bullpen did its job, including Duran, who so far he's had 4 appearances out of the bullpen. He's closed all 4 games. And if I'm not mistaken, he's only given up 1 hit, which was the hit he gave up today.
I thought last night was the shakier. I mean, they played the 2 games back to back, and I was actually surprised they used them twice in a row like that. But I thought last night was the shakier where it took them like almost 20 pitchers.
It took him a lot of pitches to get it done, but it was a 1-2-3 inning, if I remember correctly. But today he gave up his first hit as a Philly. So, I mean, 4 appearances out of the pen, no runs, 4 saves, and just 1 hit. I mean, that
you got to just rely on like that. It's just ridiculous. But I was going to say, not to cut you off earlier, but I was just going to say Jacob deGrom, like the comparison of like the old age Jacob deGrom, that like this guy might make the Hall of Fame. That's how good of a pitcher he is. Like
if it wasn't for his injuries that he's dealt with, he would be a lock for the Hall of Fame.
He's probably still going to make it, especially if he has a couple more seasons like the way he's pitching now. But back in the day, he would get no run support. Like Paul Skeens and him are the comparison of like how he would just have these outrageous starts and all these strikeouts and everything and this low ERA, but just get no wins and no run support.
Speaking of that.
But also, interestingly enough, real quickly, Jesus Luzardo got his 11th win. So, I mean, as much as he struggled, he still has produced for the Phillies, and he's coming on as late. I mean, he's recently Luzardo, you could say, has probably pitched a little bit better than Ranger if we're looking at the past 2 to 3 starts in a sample size.
I would also say Taijuan Walker. Listen, Taijuan Walker, I've dissed him many, many times on this podcast.
Yeah. But bow down. Take a knee.
This season, first of all, so have you. But this season,
I don't even want to hear that. You're going to try and hit the Uno reverse card on me when you're saying you used to come at me for being his supporter, and now you're going to try and say that I criticized him too. I don't want to hear that.
You did. No, we both did last season. Last season was atrocious. We both criticized him. But anyway, what I was going to say was, but all season, he started the season amazing as a starter. He got moved to the bullpen. He did not do well in the bullpen. And then his first few starts back as a starter, anytime the Phillies would post like on Twitter or Instagram that Taijuan was taking the mound, a bunch of fans would like complain like, oh no, not Taijuan Walker again. But I was defending him that whole time saying, no, he's been great as a starter this year. And he's pitching well as a starter again. He hasn't been pitching as well as he was to start the year, but he's been very, very solid
Wouldn't you agree that it wasn't like, as much as you aren't the biggest fan of Taijuan Walker, isn't it not fair for him to have to ask him to go to the bullpen? Like, that's not fair of a starting pitcher to try and ask him to adapt in that way, regardless of how you feel about them. That's just a tough adjustment. That's just like how when the Eagles were trying to ask Quez Watkins to be a starting receiver for them. Like, that's not fair. That's not what that person is. You know what I mean? So you're trying to ask a player to play out of his element and out of his role.
Yeah, but with how bad he pitched last season.
Yeah, but Taijuan Walker, we try and act like Taijuan Walker is has been our second or third starter with this contract and free agency. As much as it sucks, he's always been the fourth or fifth guy. So he's always just had to fill in at the back end. It's not like he's been asked to be our ace or anything like that. So, I mean, the complaints about him, he's actually playing his role this year. As much as people wanted to dump his contract by now and thought this could be the year to do it, like this further into his contract that we are, but now he's actually providing a role that helps them out.
Yeah, but the one thing I will say is, what do you do with him once the postseason starts, right? You're not going to have him be one of the starters. I don't trust him coming out of the bullpen. He's just not good as a reliever.
Would you not trust him to be Noah Syndergaard's role for a couple years ago instead of having to trade for that guy and give it up?
But that's the thing. You have guys ahead of him that you can put in that Noah Syndergaard role, right? Because you're only going to use 3 or 4 starters, right? So that still leaves
but he's proven that he can't pitch out of the bullpen. Rangers proven that he can pitch out of the bullpen, so they could still move Ranger to the bullpen, long start him to begin a game, and maybe bring Ranger out and have Taijuan and Ranger play in the same game. That could be a situation.
Well, wait, hold on, because let's think about it for a second, because we have 6 starters, right? We have Zach Wheeler, Aaron Nola, Christopher Sanchez, Ranger Suarez, Taijuan Walker, and Jesus Luzardo, right?
And Andrew
Wheeler and Sanchez.
Andrew Painter,
maybe Painter at some point.
Well, Wheeler there's 2 September call-ups now, right? So the 2 September call-ups are probably going to be Andrew Painter
and Crawford, I imagine.
Crawford, or possibly, what's his name again?
Rojas.
Rojas or Garrett Stubbs, as much as
I come on, don't make it Garrett Stubbs, but yeah. So I mean, obviously Wheeler and Sanchez are locks to be playoff starters. Nola most likely. Right?
Well, you brought up Nola. Nola's coming off injury, but he's had enough time to where you could bring him back from injury, rehabbing him to come back in a bullpen role and groom him in that way. You get what I'm saying? As in, he's had time off where he has.
This is the second week in a row we're talking about grooming people. I don't understand what's going on in this podcast.
Here we go. But what I'm saying is, Aaron Nola, he could be starting his rehab and be going less innings and giving a little bit more stuff, maybe because he might come back in a bullpen role. Then you go Sanchez.
No, Nola has proven himself as a postseason pitcher that I would not. I would let him be a starter in the postseason. No matter, even with the injuries this year and how bad he performed before he got hurt. I mean, he's proven himself.
All right, so who are your top 3 right hands in the bullpen? Duran, Kirkring, and then who's the third consistent right hand that you can trust in the bullpen?
There isn't one. That's actually a good thing to bring up. Yeah.
What I'm saying is, if you didn't want to do Nola, then you would be forced to do Luzardo, which is another left hand. So
that's a good point.
On right hands.
So then in that case, it's either
or Painter. Or Painter would just go into the bullpen.
I mean, Painter's got to start pitching well in AAA before we can even discuss him in the majors. So, but yeah, I think the final thing I want to talk about with the Phillies before we wrap up here is it is so interesting how going into the deadline outside the bullpen, the big thing they need to trade for was an outfield bat. And although they did do that, it's not like Harrison Bader has come here and played every game or set the world on fire. He's made some small contributions. But the outfield over the past couple weeks has been the biggest strength of this Phillies offense.
Yeah, which is Harrison Bader's sick, honestly. I don't like
he is. No, and I'm not saying anything negative about him. I'm just
No, I'm
saying.
saying like Harrison Bader, like aesthetically being 28 years old, and like all the dudes that are like I'm rooting for, like most of them are younger for me, especially like with the Eagles. You know what I mean? It's crazy that Jalen's younger than me, so I don't get like fanboyed over players or anything. But like if I was a young kid and like they traded for Harrison Bader, like just the way that he looks with his hair and just his aesthetics, he wears all the highlight colors and like he's always like bending down to a knee to hit a home run, it seems like. And the ball, he has a lot of power. He has a lot of power and
He
pop.
does.
And he plays good defense. Like he's like a
Yeah.
fan
Yeah, he
he's
showed it
somebody that's going to
today.
be a fan favorite when he starts making plays in the playoffs.
But I will say I was watching one of the games with my dad when I was watching Monday night's game with him. And I said, you know who Harrison Bader looks like? He looks like the antagonist in a 1980s baseball movie, right? He's just a
he looks like a
large
big league
dude.
chew.
He's got the colorful gear on, the hair, chewing gum. Like
Doesn't he look like the Big League Chew cartoon logo just like brought to life? Like if
well, I'm
like
going to show you one other thing that my cousin actually sent me when I brought this up to him. And he said, "No, take a look at this." So give me one sec. You're going to laugh when you see this. Yep.
that he does look like that. That's the
But anyway, so to go back to what I was saying, to wrap this up here, the outfield surprisingly has looked really good the past couple of weeks, and it's been just a culmination of everybody. Kepler's been hitting better, and a lot of Kepler's at bats, and with just very unlucky lineouts. But I feel like part of me has a feeling that not the identity of this team, but a big story behind this team in the rest of the regular season and in the postseason. And this is like a prediction because I can just feel this happening. I feel like they're going to continue to just platoon everybody and mix up the lineup pretty much every day. We're not going to really have a set outfield, and they're going to end up balling out even in the postseason. And that's going to be a huge identity to this team. You'll look back and be like, oh, remember the 2025 Phillies and there might even eventually become a nickname for this platoon of outfielders if it continues to go this way. And people will look back and remember an outfield that was just a plethora of guys who came in and out and got their jobs done. That's what I feel happening now.
I feel 26-man roster. I guess Rojas could sneak into being one of like.
Well, yeah, imagine if Rojas even
That's what
works
I'm
and
saying.
played
So
that
then you have
good.
like the best defensive player. I don't know if I texted you it, but at the deadline I said if they trade for an outfielder and they don't get rid of Rojas, I want Rojas to go down to the minors.
Yeah, no, you did mention that.
And rack
Anyway,
up. But real quickly, who's like a impactful? Because it seems like Harrison Bader is actually really going to help them out impactfully. Who's like a position player at the trade deadline that helped them during like a championship type run recently that could be Harrison Bader could potentially be in the tier of impactful wise.
well, I mean, you look at how good Marsh and Sosa were after we traded for them in 2022. Sosa batted like 313 as a Philly. Marsh batted like 280 as a
Sosa
Philly.
scored that one was the base runner in that one Cardinals playoff game that he scored from third, and I think they only scored 1 or 2 runs in that game.
Yeah,
So he was
So those two guys were huge.
They're not only just platooning the outfield either; it's the infield. I mean, Bryson Stott's getting platooned a lot too now too. So it's just like trying to find a way to get Edmundo Sosa on the field because Edmundo Sosa should be starting on most baseball teams in the MLB. It's just like for the Phillies, he has to just like for him to start each day, he just has to start at a different position. But he's a starting level player. He's that good.
Yeah, and that's the thing is a lot of people keep complaining about how they're switching up the lineup every day, and usually I would agree, but it's working, man. It's working. They're winning games. They've won. I don't even know how many series in a row. They just swept the Rangers, so things are looking good. It's now time for my meatball of the week, however, and my meatball of the week is CD Lamb. I don't know how many people saw it in the preseason game, but he was just chilling. I don't know if he was along the sideline or even in play, but he was just
It
chilling.
looked like he was on the white, which is the uncharted
Yeah,
territory.
you can't be on the white.
Or he was close to it, so he was close enough to where a ref could contact him if they were running. So it looked like he was in the wrong, but I'd have to see the complete angle.
Yeah, I'd have to
It
watch
wasn't
it
Mike
again.
Tomlin level back in the day when Mike Tomlin did it versus the Ravens when I think it was Jacoby Jones was returning the kick and he got on the field and hindered Jacoby Jones for scoring the touchdown. It might not have been. I think it was Jacoby Jones. It was like 2016.
Yeah, I think it was. Anyway. So, yeah, CeeDee Lamb standing along the sideline, chilling, not really paying attention to what was going on. And since the play's going downfield, the ref is sprinting downfield and just trucks into CeeDee Lamb. And it was especially funny because the angle, like it was like zoomed in on CeeDee. So you don't even see the ref running. He just comes into frame like last split second and just bolts over CeeDee Lamb.
Did you think that was an AI video when you very first saw it? Did you think
No,
it was a fake video?
no, I didn't think so
It
at
didn't
all.
look like an AI video. It just looked like a situation that would be like an AI video someone would make out to make fun of the Cowboys. So that's what I first initially thought. But I was
Oh,
like, wow,
okay.
this actually kind of looks real. And then I saw the video. I was like, wow, just like added onto the checklist of just crazy stuff going on with the Cowboys. But they're irrelevant. The Eagles are minus 340 favorites and minus
Actually, I did want to point out while we're on miscellaneous things, just a shout out to this real fast. I already forget which team accomplished this feat last night, but there was a kicker who nailed a 70-yard
the
field goal.
Jaguars, Cam Little.
That's right. Yeah. A 70-yarder. That's just insane. Back to what you were about to say about the Eagles, though.
Yeah, well, I was just saying the Cowboys are irrelevant. The Eagles are minus 340 money line favorites and minus 6.5 favorites September 4th, Thursday night, opening night. So, screw the
And if
Cowboys.
Parsons doesn't play, that line will shift even further into the Eagles' favor.
Yeah. So they still have your boy, though, at pass rusher, too, that's being slept on. So I actually thought about it. Are the Cowboys being acting this way because they have your boy, the second-round pick, at pass rusher, and that's why they're, like, trying to diminish the value of Micah Parsons a little bit, like he has to wait in line like everybody else has.
Listen, I'm a big fan of Donovan's game.
But you can't hold Micah Parsons hostage because
like come on, man. It's Micah Parsons.
So they do have options low key, but they also lost to Marcus Lawrence, the Seahawks in free agency too, who was like cornerstone of their D line for a long time. So, but hey, they got that defensive tackle who is making $20 million a year. So, Diggy Zua or whatever his name is. So
yeah, and Terrence Ferguson has gotten a big new contract. It's insane how awful of a GM Jerry Jones is. It's laughable.
Well, let's talk about a good GM that keeps bringing in talent to the Eagles and some of the talent that flashed its way on the football field. First, let's go down the pecking order of the draft picks. Jahad Campbell. So he flashed. He looked good. He looked like instinctive, fast player that's been hyped up. He's been getting a lot of hype in camp and free agents or in camp during the beginning of training camp, and he showed it on the field, and he was so close to getting that interception on the tip ball, and he was really upset that he didn't come down with that play.
Yeah. But I mean, it's the old adage: if they had hands, they'd be on offense, right? So, hey, Jahad Campbell, he looked really good in my opinion. It seemed like every play he was finding a way to get to the ball to be in the play, and Brian Baldinger even did a breakdown of some of his plays in that game. So I thought Campbell looked really good. I thought it was a little interesting. They started Smile. I never know how to pronounce this guy's first name. Smile Munden Jr. over him.
He's been getting a lot of hype too. He's been actually working with the first team throughout training camp. So remember last week we highlighted how competitive it's been between like lower tier players, like not saying they're not talented, but guys that are lower on the pecking order of the depth chart, matching up with guys like Saquon Barkley, and that was an example of like that. So He's been working with the first team guys and getting reps, and he's a really athletic backer. And yeah, he's from Georgia, so you know what happens with those Georgia guys and how they fit into the Eagles.
Yeah, and then so the next guy, Andrew Makuba, he was still nursing that injury, right? That's
Yeah, he was nursing the injury, so we didn't get to see him. So he's
yeah.
actually.
Well, I think
But do you feel like with him, just real quickly, do you feel like how concerned are you because last year what happened with our second round pick? He was banged up to begin the preseason, and then he was one of the best players ranked. What he got ranked the 56th or something best player in the NFL this year.
yeah, he was up there. And Quinion came in the 40s.
And then
Uh,
Jalen was in the Jalen Carter was in the 40s too. He was like 43. So.
yeah, yeah. A lot of Eagles been showing up on that top
But I'm just
100
saying,
list.
like Cooper DeJean missed all that time to begin training camp last year with the hamstring injury, and then he burst onto the scene. So maybe Andrew McCuba mentally can get caught up with the reps that he can
Oh
get.
yeah, and I think he should be available for the next game because I remember seeing he was back from his injury even before Thursday night. Like I think in like the beginning of the week, but I imagine they didn't want to throw him out there right away. So my guess is he probably ends up playing. Their next game, which I believe is next Saturday.
Yeah,
So
we'll see, but we'll have an update on him.
but
But
the
as of
next
right now,
guy, the next guy to talk about. So I don't know how many people know what in Philly when it comes to Philly sports. There's like there's like the big social media figures. You know, there's the Crossing Broad guy. There's that one guy with the curly hair. I forget his name. And then there's Malik Joe. He's a big name in Philly sports social media. And he did one of his popular Eagles mic'd up videos where he like mimics like what they would have been saying during plays. But in that video, he gave a great nickname to Ty Robinson, phenomenal nickname, called him Ty 95. And that's the next guy we got to talk about because I love that nickname, Ty 95.
I don't see what's too special about the guy, the abbreviation of someone's name and their number, even though it's a shtick on something. But
It's just
yeah,
so
no,
fitting, you know?
he's a
Ty
beast.
95.
He's a beast. He had a sack. He cleaned it up. It was on a stunt, so he wasn't taking full credit for it. But just being able to get to the ball like that, and he just flashed his athleticism, and he's somebody that's going to be able to help them right away. But it was crazy the strides that certain guys that have made on the roster from years past and what the potential of guys now can do. As in, like a guy like Moro Joma, who was a 6th or 7th round pick, didn't even play in this game because he's already established himself that much.
Yeah, I thought it was a little nuts to not play Ojomo. All right, he's gonna start, but
Well,
he hasn't
you
been
don't like
started yet. I feel like you still
like
play
we've
him.
been fortunate. You've seen some guys go down around the league. Like you just don't want that to happen. It can always happen, and you never know who's going to happen to. So
It's a good point. Now, the one thing I want to say about Ty 95 is, and I know we probably should get through the list first before we talk about the rest of the topics, but I think I wanted to bring this up. I feel like the move to trade Travis Booker for Jacorian Bennett
this
is
is the second time you've called him Travis Booker, Thomas Booker.
Thomas Booker. I feel like the move to trade him for Jacorian Bennett. When I heard that news, I thought one of two things. One, they still need another corner, and two, they have all the confidence in the world in Ty Robinson because Thomas Booker he was a key piece of that D line. He was very effective.
Well, I
And
think you said that to me, and I just told you my opinion of it was that shows the confidence they had in Moro Jomo, and then it was
yeah,
starting
I
to
know
fall.
Jomo as well, but Booker was he wasn't a starter. He was a back end guy. And so I feel like once you look at what you have in Ty Robinson and you're like, okay, we feel great about him mixing it into the D line. We don't need Thomas Booker as much. We need a corner. That's when you make the trade. So I feel like it's more so confidence in Ty Robinson than Moro Jomo because Moro Jomo's already a starter. Getting rid of Thomas Booker doesn't have as much to do with Ojomo.
Well, I feel like it was kind of a no-brainer. Thomas Booker was a decent D-line rotation guy. Apparently, he's really smart, a really smart guy too, and he was like a really liked guy. A lot of people said he has a lot of personality, and all the like clips that you've seen on social media, like for the Eagles, he does have a lot of personality. He was a cool dude, but you're also trading a guy that had limited, was playing a limited amount of snaps per game for a guy that like straight up was starting games in the AFC West versus in a division that, provides a lot of offense and competitiveness in general. So, I mean, I felt like that was a no-brainer, especially for a guy that runs a 4.3, a 1.48 split, which is crazy. An under 1.5 10-yard split is nuts, is crazy fast, and a 40.5-inch vertical leap. So he's not the tallest or biggest guy, but he matches up athletically wise. But I'm interested to see what he has to provide because Adoree Jackson didn't look the greatest out there, and Kelee Ringo, a guy that I've been huge on, definitely did not look the best, regardless of him matching up with Jamar Chase. Just some of the technique things. It wasn't even just a match like a talent thing. It was technique that was actually beating him out there as much as gaps.
And we'll get back to that, but just to keep going down the list of rookies we saw in the game, the next guy on the list actually ties into it, was Mac McWilliams out of Central Florida.
He's somebody that has a really good camp. I think he has a chance at maybe the nickel because it's not guaranteed. I mean, remember I talked about way back using Cooper DeJean as the safety, and Vic Fangio himself has been mentioning that as a thing in base packages now, like I talked about last year on the podcast. So there might be an opening at slot, and that might be for Andrew Makuba, who has been listed as a slot and a safety too. But with him not healthy, I mean, Mac McWilliams could be that guy. And if they can hit on a guy later on in the draft, I mean, when was Avonte drafted? Avonte Maddox, he was a third-round pick, right? Or a fourth?
No, Avonte was like fifth round, if I remember right.
I thought he was a third-round pick, a little bit higher.
I am pretty sure he was. I remember him being
a fourth-round pick. So
fourth.
I mean,
okay,
their nickel for a couple years was a fourth-round pick, and that was a really good thing for them to hit on, like cap.
Yeah, Mac McWilliams was fifth round.
So if they can hit on like a day 3 guy as a starter, I mean, you would always take that. And maybe Smile Monday could be that guy too if people go down.
Well, and that's the next guy they drafted, Smile Munden, who
I like Munden more than Jeremiah Trotter Jr. I'm not trying to hate on Jeremiah Trotter Jr. I think he's good. I just feel like he's a little bit limited athletically, like speed wise. But Smile Munden is like crazy athletic. He might be a little bit like thin, but he's crazy.
Well, that's the thing. They're two very different linebackers, right? I mean, Trotter Jr. is a much bigger guy, not as fast and athletic. Use him against the run, and then you have Munden, who's the more so like the modern linebacker, where he's smaller, faster,
both
athletic.
Can help on special teams, so you always need special teams guys. So both can help on special teams.
I still just find it so interesting that he started the game. That came. I know he's like looked good in camp, but that came as a shock to me. And then they barely used him, which I also find interesting because this is a 5th round pick. You'd want to give him a lot of reps, but they just put him in for like the first couple series, and then it was Jahad Campbell time.
Maybe they already have their answer and they want to keep that. I mean, they also have question marks there. Jahad Campbell, as healthy as he is now, had question marks about his health. Nakobe's coming off the injury, so they don't want somebody that's next in the pecking order potentially getting hurt. So not everybody can play all the snaps, especially that position. That's arguably the most physical position on the field. I mean, you're an undersized guy by 50 pounds going against linemen every play or matching up with a big tight end, running sideline to sideline. There's just so many ways you can get hurt at that position. Next guy, though, Drew Kendall, a guy that I highlighted that I liked a lot. He looked really good, and he actually was one of the people that spurred that Will Shipley long run because he hooked the backer on the second level, and he looked good with Tyler Steen on that play.
And Steen looked great too. I've been high on Steen this whole time, and I think he's
Steen hasn't had the best camp, but I mean, going against the Eagles, what the Eagles have to offer can make you look tough at times. So maybe match up with guys.
But yeah, Kendall looked great, man. I think he'll be an excellent depth piece to this offensive line this year.
A lot of people are high on Cameron Williams and Miles Hinton too. Miles Hinton obviously didn't look the best. Cameron Williams, is a good tackle prospect from a big school in Texas too, just like Michigan with Miles Hinton. But of those three back-end drafted offensive linemen, I think Drew Kendall looked the best.
Absolutely. And we'll get into Miles Hinton in a second, but the next guy up is Kyle McCord, who I'm rooting for. Kyle McCord. He's a local guy, but man, he looked awful. He did not look good.
Well, I don't want to like just say he looks awful and like be like, oh, he's a cornerback getting beat. I mean, he's a NFL quarterback, you know what I mean? So it's like anybody, you know, in their first action in that role is going to look tough.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not saying like, oh damn it, he looked awful. This guy stinks. Why would you, anything like that? You know, like no, it makes sense. He looked bad. It was his very first NFL game ever, and coming in at the end is never easy. But if we're evaluating how players performed on the field, he was terrible.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. He didn't look the best, but we'll see. I mean,
and he fell victim to
the Eagles of any team would not be. The Eagles with any team would be trying to hold on for the skin of their teeth for a quarterback that they drafted to make the roster. Like that's just like I feel like that's just the way that they operate. So I'm not saying they'll hold 4 quarterbacks, but I think if it's close race between him and DTR for the last quarterback spot, he'll get the nod from being a younger guy and being.
And he'll go on the practice squad.
I don't see anybody probably claiming him. I mean, he was there to be.
No, I don't think so either. So I think we'll sit on the practice squad for a year, and then he'll probably be the 3rd stringer next season. I think he has a good career as a backup.
I'm going to run to the bathroom real quickly, but
I'll go through the rest of. Well,
this gives a perfect time. I'll be back in 2 minutes, but this gives a perfect time for you to highlight your boy that I'm not the highest on, and you know who you should be talking about, who wasn't a draft pick, but somebody that performed pretty well in the preseason game. So,
Darius Cooper?
No, he was the FCS leader in receiving yards and didn't get drafted.
Well, which player are you referring to then?
Dude, who do we argue about recently on the Eagles roster?
Well, McKee, but he was a draft pick.
Not this
anyway,
year.
I think Zach was talking about Tanner McKee. I don't get what Zach's fucking problem is about Tanner McKee. All right, because this started last year when he was trying to say Kenny Pickett was better than Tanner McKee. When in the preseason last year, Tanner McKee looked way better. And in the regular season, he looked way better. Kenny Pickett stepped in. He played in 2 games. Week 17 and also the game against the Commanders. McKee also played in 2 games, week 17 and 18. And McKee far and wide was the better quarterback. Then goes into this preseason game, which this was not a one-off performance. This was his 3rd preseason. Goes into this game, plays lights out, lights it up. Everyone's talking about him. And all I did texted to Zach was a big apology to Tanner McKee, referencing the fact that he chose Kenny Pickett over him, and he thinks that's absurd. He's clearly better than Kenny Pickett. I'm not even saying anything crazy about Tanner McKee. He's better than Kenny Pickett. There's zero denying it. He could start on multiple teams right now. And when I say multiple, I don't mean a lot of teams. I mean, your teams where Spencer Rattler is your starting quarterback, or you have a quarterback battle between Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones. He could start on teams like that have bad quarterbacks right now. I think he is very quick, decisive. He gets the ball out. He goes through his progressions very fast. He's on the money with all his throws. He's got a good, solid arm. He's tall. I don't see anything to dislike about Tanner McKee. And to act like he's not the best backup quarterback we've had in quite a while is just insane. And what more do you need to see out of a backup quarterback? It's not like you're comparing him to other backups that are starting every day, because then they wouldn't be backups. You don't see a lot out of a backup quarterback. That's why they're backups, right? So when you're looking at what you might possibly see out of the backup quarterback, the amount of tape you'll see on that end, what more are you going to see out of Tanner McKee? Oh, it's his fault he hasn't started multiple games in the NFL. He started a game, he looked great. He stepped in the second half of another game, looked great. He's looked great in every preseason he's been in. He's done great in every training camp. So what more do you need just to prove the point that he's an excellent backup? I don't think you need to see anything else. I mean, I'm sold. If Jalen Hurts goes down for a few games, I have confidence in Tanner McKee. I'm not going to say I have confidence if Tanner McKee has to step in for the postseason, for the playoffs. I mean, because who knows if he has that winning edge to him. I don't know. That's the only difference, right? Is you can see what you've seen out of McKee so far and understand that he's able to perform when called upon, but being able to perform in the playoffs is a whole nother animal. So we don't have any way to have confidence if he could step up in the playoffs or not. But I mean, he's a damn good backup. He's a damn good backup. Since Zach Deal's taking a while, I will continue to do what we were doing earlier. Right. Next guy, Miles Hinton. Terrible performance. After he gave up a couple of pressures, I started watching him every snap. And every snap, it seemed like he was losing his rep at left tackle and just allowing a lot of pressure. He did not look good. But that's fine because I think we have a lot of great depth on the offensive line. The next guy, Cameron Williams. I didn't pay too much attention to him, honestly. When I watch preseason games, once it gets to like the fourth quarter, I start to zone out a bit because most of the exciting guys are out of the game by then. I locked back in when Colin McCord came out because I was really excited to watch him play. He let me down. He did not play well at all. So yeah, and then the final guy was Antoine Powell-Ryland, who I don't even recall seeing him on the field. Does that mean he played? Does that mean he didn't play? Does that mean he played, but he just made zero impact? I really don't know because I just didn't even notice him out there. So, what's going to talk about? Well, I will talk about. Oh, here's Zach. All right, I went on the whole tangent.
Did you let it be known your professor love for Tanner McKee?
Okay, first of all, you said a guy who wasn't drafted. He was drafted. Secondly,
all right, okay. I heard briefly from across the room, so let's not reference this like I'm saying that I'm taking Kenny Pickett right now over Tanner McKee. When we were talking about last year experience-wise, I was taking him when he was on the Eagles roster. But
but experience doesn't beat out talent, and Tanner McKee is clearly the more talented quarterback.
He's got talent. I'm not going to go out here and say like he can start on all these different teams in the NFL. I feel like
I think he could start on 3, maybe even 5 NFL teams. I think there's a few teams he could start on.
I think the Saints should have. The Saints would have had a bet. He's the same age I think as Tyler Shugg, their second round pick. So I felt like the Saints should, especially with his former offensive coordinator that has been around him for a decent amount of time. That's an advantage to have. So
who's their starter this year? Is it Rattler? Is that who their starter is?
Well, Shugg hasn't looked that good, so I think Rattler.
I wasn't expecting Shugg to be a starter anyhow. Yeah, I mean McKee would easily start in New Orleans. And then, I would say maybe even the Colts is one other team. And there's a couple other
Anthony Richardson is head and shoulders more talented than him. but
Well, yeah. Well,
he's
okay. When
more
I say
refined.
talented, what I
I
meant to
will give him a
say,
compliment that he's more refined and clean than.
yeah. When I said talented, that's not necessarily what I meant. I just meant like who's actually a better quarterback.
Yeah, I don't want to hate on him. I want to give him praise because I wasn't the highest on him before. I
But
actually
I
went
don't
to the
understand.
Giants.
I mean, me personally, I don't understand why you weren't, because he's looked great in every preseason, and he looked great last regular
Well,
season.
I'm not the biggest on
But
Keelan
I'm not going to
Cole.
we're not going to focus too much time on that
I went to
aspect
the
of it.
Giants, the game versus the Giants last year, so I saw it in the person. He looked good. I was impressed by the receivers also too. If we're talking about non-draft pick
Oh
guys,
well, yeah. Let's talk about Darius
Aeneas
Cooper.
Darius Cooper, who was an undrafted free agent, looked great. He was a FCS leading receiver last year with like
1,400 yards and 14 touchdowns his senior year.
he's a beast, and it's funny seeing a dude
Yeah,
wearing number 40 cook people on the outside at
41.
wide
Yeah.
receiver. But also Aeneas Smith looked really good too. Yeah, that
And Ian Smith looked good. Johnny Wilson looked good. Jahan Dotson,
that's
the
that's where I'll
he
give
played, he looked good.
credit because I feel like our wide receivers have been shining. Tanner McKee's been letting our wide receivers shine the talent that hasn't been seen before. Because last year in the last game of the season when he started in Philly versus the Giants, Jahan Dotson looked really good, and Jahan Dotson picked up where he left off, looking like the same exact player. I mean, he made a
Yeah.
couple plays in the playoffs last year, but I
Yeah,
felt like
really, ever since that Week 18 game, Jahan Dotson
I think
has looked
Aeneas Smith
great.
had a touchdown in the Week 18 game last year too.
Yeah, he did.
Well, so he
Yeah,
looks
I think
good.
it might be a crossing
He
route.
looks good in special teams, and he finally started to look like that guy that he's not the fastest burner in the world, but with the ball in his hands, he's a dynamic player, and that's actually a role that could carve him out to. I mean, because the thing that's interesting about Johnny Wilson and Aeneas Smith is like the type of players, they don't have a similar player to those guys on the roster. So if they make the roster and can actually flash their talent, there might be a role for them in the offense. There's not another 6'7" wide receiver on the
Yeah.
Eagles roster, or a guy that's as dynamic that Aeneas Smith could be with the ball in his hands as a guy that you can just be a gadget guy in the offense.
Yeah, and one guy we didn't see, I mean, I didn't really look into why we didn't see him, but a guy I mentioned I was excited to see play was Terrence Marshall Jr. We didn't see him.
He was banged up, I'm pretty sure. I think he got carted off. He might have gotten carted off with I don't know the severity of the injury. He had some sort of injury, I think, last week, so that's why he didn't have time out there. But
And that's a shame for him, because if he continues to miss time in the preseason and Darius Cooper continues to shine, he might take a roster spot away from him.
The running backs look good too.
Will Shipley looked great, dude. He had some great burst.
Yeah, and that was sprung by the blocks by Tyler Steen and Drew Kendall. Also, A.J. Dillon looks good. He caught a couple passes on the backfield, and he was efficient with his runs. And he showed a little bit of lateral quickness, which
he was making guys miss. All the running backs that showed up in this game were made guys miss. I don't even remember the names of the guys who showed up after A.J. Dillon.
They had the kid from Florida that has been standing out in camp. That was the Florida University's starting running back last year. Was an undrafted guy who looked pretty good. Montrell, I think his name is. Montrell Jackson, it might be his name or something like that. His last name's like that. So, but yeah, there was a lot of guys that showed out. Sidney Brown looked pretty good as well. Their secondary looked decent. So
yeah, Sidney Brown, he plays aggressive, dude. Like he plays like he plays on 100 every single play. He's just flying after people.
Yeah, that's why they like him, and that's I mean, when he first got drafted, people were talking about we're making dog comparisons. People were actually saying that stuff. So we temper that down a little bit, but I was really sad, honestly, with Keelan Ringo because I'm a huge Keelan Ringo guy. He was actually one of my
we both have been big.
He's
Keelan
one of those
Ringo
guys. I just feel like I don't want to chalk it up to be this. I'm going to give him another opportunity with the game coming up with the Browns, especially with the joint practice, because that can make a huge difference. Those will be like almost mini preseason games themselves, being able to go against other outside talent to measure yourself. But he might be one of those guys that just falls into the extremely athletic but just can't get the job done category of the Eagles. Like what was his name a couple years ago?
Davion Taylor.
Davion Taylor. I was about to call him Daryl Taylor. Davion Taylor, 3rd round pick from Colorado. I'm
going to throw a name out at you. Blake Countess.
Yeah, defensive back, right? He was
Yeah.
from Iowa, I think, correct? Iowa
He
University.
went to two different
No,
colleges.
Missouri, I think. He was from Missouri, wasn't he? From
He went to
Missouri.
two different colleges. I
I know
forget.
Missouri, I think, was one of them.
I was really high on him coming out of the draft. Same thing with Davion Taylor. Oh, who was the other safety who was very athletic? I thought he was going to be really good, hard hitting guy. Kavon Wallace, dude. Oh my God, I
From
was.
Clemson. He actually started a couple games for other teams.
He
But
was the guy I thought could be the
I think
next
he
D
went to the
ball.
Raiders and started playing for them. But also another interesting note. You know how CJ went down with the injury for the Texans to fill
Yeah,
his role with the dude Jimmy Ward, the former 49ers safety that keeps getting arrested. He got arrested like the third time this
Jimmy
offseason or
Ward
something
is
like
still
that.
around. I didn't know that.
The Texans signed Jalen Mills to
Oh
fill
yeah, I saw
for
that. Yeah, I
C.J.
saw that this
Gardner Johnson's
morning.
injury. I
My
thought that was
guy,
so
dude.
ironic going
My
through the
guy. By
carousel
the
of
way,
OG
real fast.
receivers.
So Blake Countess, he went to Michigan and then transferred to Auburn for his senior year.
I must have been thinking about somebody else, but I remember him. Um, he wasn't fitting the most athletic guy billing because he wasn't the fastest, but he was a hard hitting safety that just was a
And he
disappointment.
played
Remember?
multiple. He played multiple positions.
No,
Like
well,
it.
I'm just talking. I'm describing another guy before I mention him. Just a completely different guy. You remember Temple, second round pick, Jaquan Jarrett? How big of a disappointment he was back in the day. That
No,
was
I don't remember him at all. Actually.
that was the late 2000s. That was like maybe two.
Yeah. I back then. I mean, when I was a kid, I didn't pay too much attention to the draft. I paid attention to guys once they started playing. Um, like I was, like I was locked in on guys who weren't even big on the team, but just like showed up and played, like Chris Polk. Like I
Like
remember
Bruno
guys like
Mahe.
that, but guys who got drafted that didn't really end up playing from those days. I just don't really remember.
Reno Mahe.
That name sounds a little familiar. I was a big Chris Polk guy though. Anyway, let's stop getting off topic.
Yeah, but just to highlight some other things in the NFL, the Giants' 2 first-round picks actually looked good in the preseason. Shout out to them. Looks like Abdul Carter is going to be a handful, and we don't have Lane
Oh
Johnson
yeah.
much longer. So Abdul Carter is probably going to be a handful. He had like 2 or 3 pressures and like 2 or 3 snaps. Jackson Dart looked good. Shador got a start, and he looked good for a fifth
Yeah,
round.
Shador looked good for the Browns, man.
And there was the picture on the sideline of Dylan Gabriel looking distraught, Deshaun looking distraught, and then Joe.
I feel so bad for Dylan Gabriel, dude. I mean, just the situation he's been put in is such
Also,
bullshit.
the Patriots, Ohio State national championship, their running back, who a lot of people thought Judkins was going to get drafted before him, but Travion Henderson went first, took the opening kickback for a touchdown. So that was pretty electric. Travis Hunter played on both sides of the ball. I'm pretty sure only played a couple snaps. I think he might have missed a tackle, somebody out of bounds, like pushed them, forced them out of bounds. Cam Ward played. I think somebody got hurt for the Titans that was playing in that game. That was actually like a veteran that might have got hurt. So that's like veterans had to play. I mean, we saw the Bengals roll out Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow on us. I mean, veterans got to play in certain spots. You know what's interesting? You know why they did that? The Bengals under Zach Taylor, I think.
Oh yeah, no, I do know why. I'll let you tell
1-11 in the week 1 and 2 combined in
Yeah.
the first 6 seasons under him. I would be playing all my starters if that was the case with my franchise too.
Well, and that's why I feel like the Eagles should be playing their starters a little bit in the preseason because I mean they got off to a slow start this past year, right?
Yeah, but
They
if you're the biggest advocate for this, I mean, the circumstances that they're playing in a different country on a Friday on a horrible field, you know what I mean? There's a lot of
that is true.
factors to
That
that.
is true, but there was that one I think it was 2023 though. They lost either the first or the second game. I think it was the second game and they looked shaky in the first game. And Nick Sirianni was like, "Oh, well, maybe I should be playing the guys in the preseason then." And then he just didn't. Yeah,
Well,
I don't
haven't
know.
cared
I
about
feel like they
preseason
should
since
be.
I haven't cared about preseason since the won that Patriots game when they had Cam Newton when we lost 35-0, and I went in person. It was like the worst Eagles game of all time, even though it was preseason. They got absolutely murked and dominated on the field for like all 140 snaps on both sides of the ball for the game. And 2, the Sam Bradford Packers game when everybody thought Sam Bradford was going to win MVP of the league.
Oh, dude, I remember that game, dude. He went off against the Packers.
I also got my dog now. That's 9 years old. The first day we adopted him, the first day of Carson Wentz's preseason debut, and we almost named him Carson. So it's funny that we didn't name him Carson because that would have been.
You dodged a bullet there. Unfortunately, a lot of people did not dodge that bullet. However, so shout out to all the dogs and babies named Carson. Ouch.
Yeah, that's a tough scene, but. One last thing, ouch. We had Paul George get hurt in the offseason working out with a knee injury. And have you seen the picture yet that I asked you to look up?
Oh, no.
All right, just type the name in on the search bar on Twitter. That's all you got to do.
Just type in Paul George?
Yeah, it's guaranteed to be the first thing that pops up. Unless he's said something crazy on his podcast in the last 24 hours that might top this, which I don't think it would.
Is it this photo?
Yeah, do you notice anything about that photo?
Yeah, he's got a knee brace on.
And he's where?
I have no idea where.
He's outside of the club waiting to get in with a knee brace on.
Oh, he's outside a club. Yeah, that makes sense looking at it. Yeah, that's crazy, dude. He's not serious about basketball.
Have you listened to any episodes of his podcast?
No. I don't care.
I listened to the VJ Edgecombe one. That was the only one I listened to, and that was a good one, obviously, because he was interviewing VJ and just got a deeper inside look at what VJ was thinking. Recently, Exciting Mics have had some good episodes, too. They had Chris Long, and then they just had the Brandon
That was a great episode. The most recent one was Jason Kelce, right?
Jason Kelce, too. So, yeah, that was the other one that they had. So, yeah, those were really good ones. And you get like I love when they do like Chris Long or Jason Kelce because it gives you like that OG nostalgic, like when we were growing up younger feel of like what was going on inside the locker room too, of like the stories from the first Super Bowl team. So that I love always hearing about that stuff too. So shout out to those podcasts cooking up. But yeah, that pretty much wraps it up. There's not too much Sixers news. I mean, we're going on how many weeks? They'll start training camp third week of September, and Quentin Grimes, there's like no news update on Quentin Grimes for some reason.
We haven't heard any rumblings about him whatsoever, so who knows?
There's a lot of guys on different teams in the same spot that are like bird rights are owned to that certain team, like Josh Giddey and Jonathan Kuminga in the same spot, and Cam Thomas, the shooting guard on the Nets. So there's other guys around the league that are in the same spot, so I guess we'll just have to see what goes on with that. Also, we haven't heard anything about like Andre Drummond getting traded, so it looks like I guess he'll be retained this year, at least for the time being, or unless they dump him in a trade for something else.
Yeah, I'm going to see how that
it seems like the roster's pretty set. Besides like a minor decision, like the decision on Quentin Grimes, that's really the only decision they have to make. Also, I think two or three guys this offseason have signed with like the one specific European club from the Sixers team. Remember I sent you that tweet? Because Jeff Dalton Jr. just signed with them, and I think Lonnie Walker signed with them, and somebody else signed with this like overseas European team. It was just one specific team. So
I didn't notice that.
Teaming up overseas on this like European team. So
yeah, that's kind of funny.
But yeah, so that'll wrap it up for episode. What is it? Is this episode 108? We're getting up there now. I can't even keep track of the numbers, but I think it is episode 108 of the Paisan Sports podcast. So we'll have Eagles-Browns joint practice throughout the week to talk about next podcast, as long as
the preseason game as well.
Yeah, I'm saying just the teaser of all that. Maybe they make another move. We already saw one trade that could benefit them in a race. I mean, Bennett could end up being their starting corner, which would make
absolutely. He's got a very good. I mean, he's really good. You know, like
also
both looked into him.
He also really has not as much as Adoree, but athletically wise and younger wise, he could get the edge there, but he has the experience over Keelan Ringo significantly on
Oh
NFL
yeah.
experience. So
Well, I don't know about
bring him back.
significantly. He started 7 games last year and was a backup before that. But I mean, he's got good experience.
Well, I see reps versus Jamar Chase of him knocking the ball out, and I see reps versus Jamar Chase with Keelan Ringo of him getting put in a turn.
Yeah.
Style.
No, listen, right now, as much as I loved Keelan Ringo, and I'm hoping he steps it up and eventually wins the job over Jacorian Bennett, but right now I'm Team Bennett.
Yeah, either or. They're still going to be cheap with either regardless, or I mean, worst case scenario is Adoree', but Adoree's still athletic and experienced, but that's a guy on a 1-year contract.
Adoree' didn't look
Like
good
bridge
either.
gap and a guy there, so that's not the best case scenario for them. Although they are young at the other spots at the same position, but yeah, maybe we get another trade, but we'll keep you up on the Eagles news. Phillies, this is the roster, and they look good, and we feel a lot different and a lot
Hell
more
yeah.
energized than we were like 2 weeks ago talking about the Phillies. So just
Yeah.
one guy can just change the whole feel. So I'm very
And not
excited.
even one guy, just one song. Pasamela.
Also, shout out to
I
the
don't know
Twins
the
for
rest.
hooking the Phillies up with all that stuff to be prepared for
Oh yeah,
his song. That was cool. That was cool that they
yeah.
were able to do that. I
They
don't know.
really did hook us up, man. They hooked
I
us
don't know
up.
if they trade for Iglesias or Diaz with like the Mets or the Braves, like if the Braves and the Mets would be hooking them up with their content packages to get those guys going. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, that'll wrap it up for episode 108 of the Paisan Sports Podcast. We'll see you guys next week.